by the power of Grayskull.
Hello, this is just another video, a review video of WWE 2015. I think I've wrote 2016 in the title, I'll have to change it. But this is basically just my first thoughts of the game. I mean, I've been a massive fan of the wrestling when I was younger, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, stuff like that. But I've also been a fan of all the games that they've brought out, even through my PlayStation 2, playing SmackDown and stuff. I've kept up with all the wrestling games. So I've basically seen the games progress through years, and I think they're going backwards in many respects in this game. They've changed a lot of it. Even though, like, if you've played a lot of games, the wrestling games, that you will be familiar with the controls straight away. It's the same buttons, but it's slow. It's really slow. If you can look at the footage now, just the way they're moving, that's my created character, and you've got to build it up in career mode, and you start from the bottom and you make your way as a superstar, which is good, which they've always had missing from other games. But they've changed the way the fighting happens. It's a lot slower. Like I say, you don't feel like you can like keep the momentum going, and a lot of it is about momentum now, where the match can be thrown either way. It depends how successful you are pulling off your moves, and then that builds up your momentum, and you can taunt and get the crowd on your side. But on this footage, I was the Ultimate Warrior and Stone Cold versus Rob Van Dam and Mark Henry, because the roster, I mean, the Ultimate Warrior is my favourite wrestler of all time, but the roster isn't unlocked straight away, and most of the people in the wrestling nowadays are like nobodies anyway. Like, from an old 80s 90s kind of wrestling fan, everybody's shit now. I don't like the wrestling now, so I've stopped watching it. But as regards to legends, these are the only people who are available from the roster. As soon as you put the disc in the box, the disc in the PlayStation, then these are the oldest wrestlers that they've got. So I'm glad the Warrior's playable straight away. I mean, there's a DLC that you can have where you can do the Path of the Warrior. That's what it's called, and you relive some great matches against Ravishing Rick Rude, Andre the Giant, Macho Man, Mr. Perfect, Honky Tonk Man, and Hulk Hogan. So you do about 6 or 7 matches as the Warrior in a career mode, but it's like £7.99. So for £8, I mean, I've watched somebody do the playthrough on YouTube, and for £8 it doesn't really look that worth it. I mean, you do get some cool people, but you can unlock the full roster for £1.69 anyway. So I don't know if it's going to be worth investing all this extra money into. I know there was a Sting DLC and everything like that, but like I say, I mean, this is me playing now after a few matches, so I had got used to the way it was played, the timing. It's all, I mean, the other games were all about timing as well, but at least with the other games you had speed, and you could punch and you could get out reverse moves and stuff a lot quicker, whereas this, I feel like the buttons aren't very responsive. Like, there's a few times where I've tried to grab them, and because I didn't my character didn't react to me pressing the buttons, I end up getting somebody else does a move on us because I'm not reacting quick enough. Whereas I feel like on the PS3 2014, that had the Warrior on for the first time, and that was great. And the amount of customization, and I mean, people were making Captain America and the Hulk, and you can just go ballistic, and there was so much customization. Whereas in this, I mean, at the beginning of the video you would have seen the state of me created character, because there is no options. I mean, the graphics are great on the people. I mean, it looks real, well, a lot more real than it did on the other games, but apart from the graphics, they've ruined it, I think. I can see where they're going with this, and they're trying to make it more like a wrestling game, where you can't just kick the fuck out of somebody and then get a little routine going where you're throwing them off the ropes, you're doing certain moves, you're jumping off the turnbuckle, you're building up building up your special, and then you just do your specials and pin them. So this has totally changed the way the game plays, in respect where you don't have the chance just to hammer somebody and then just win. If you keep doing moves and keep doing moves, even though I went into the options and I turned off the stamina, because I hate that. I mean, some of the games you just sprint around the ring and then you use up all your stamina and you're falling over, so it spoils it really. So I've turned the stamina off, but yet the stamina still exists on the game, so God knows what it would be like if you had the stamina turned on. It'd be probably even shitter. But the bars, and I've only had the game 2 or 3 days, and I still don't really understand, because I don't bother reading anything. It's all text related, like the menus. You've got to just read boxes and boxes of text, so I can't be bothered, so I just skip them, and then I'll just try and figure it out. You go into the options and you have a look at the manual, and it tells you just to go to the website. So I don't really like that, where you don't even get to know the buttons. I wanted to know how to take over as Austin while the Warrior's getting done in. I wanted to be Austin and run in and save him, and I couldn't figure out what button it was. I mean, I eventually found it was the touchpad, but on the PS3 you just press select and then you could control your other bloke, and it gave you the advantage. It felt like you were in a tag team match, because the other guy wasn't just like Austin is now, just standing at the side of the ropes while the Warrior's getting kicked the fuck. I could have came in and broke it up and give the Warrior a chance to recuperate, but that's just minor things, because I didn't know the buttons, that's all. And also, when you've created a character, things aren't available. Like, I can jump off the top rope, but it's just to the immediate space underneath. I can't jump out into the middle of the ring and do an elbow. I have to wait and save up points and then buy them, which is okay, I suppose. It gives you something to work to while you're doing your career mode to unlock certain abilities and stuff, but it makes it crap, because now I'm forced. I can't really fight under the ring, under the posts, unless I drag them into the where I need to be, and then jump off the top rope and just land on them directly underneath. Whereas I like to do high flying moves and stuff like that, so that spoiled it a bit for me. And also they've changed it so there's like mini games now, where if you very first start a match and you both go in for a grapple at the very same time, then you get 3 options, and it's like rock paper scissors, where you go into clinches, and then you have to press like square, triangle or circle, but it tells you on a little diagram like square beats triangle, triangle beats circle, and circle beats square. So depending on whatever they pick, triangle, circle or square, you have to pick the countering button in order to win that grapple, and then it'll change. You'll do a little transition, and then you have to move your right analog stick around in a circle until you find the sweet spot, and then you hold it and it builds up the meter, and then you win that little mini game. I mean, it is good how they're trying to break up the fight, but I don't know, it just takes away the fluidity of the game, and just how, like, to keep it up as a player, you want it to keep going, you want it to keep playing, so you know, you get involved. When you feel like you're at a disadvantage because the game suddenly changes because you fucked up a mini game, and then now you're losing, or now you've lost all your stamina. But that's just like the real, like, just I suppose it's more realistic, because you can't just, like I said, on the old PlayStation 3 wrestling game 2014, you could just dominate someone from the offset, and if they didn't know what they were doing, or if they weren't pulling off the reversals or anything like that, you just have an instant upper hand. Whereas this is, you can't just keep punching into people and doing your moves, because every time you do a move, even like just stamping on somebody while they're on the floor, that stamp will take off stamina. So the more you're hitting the person, the weaker you become. So it's like a to and fro kind of game, and so that's good, I suppose, on a competitive aspect. That if you're fighting, even if you've had a stunner, or even if you've had some sort of high impact move, you've still got the chance to kick out. But I've noticed like things where, off playing the other games, like little tricks. Instead of, like, if you've just done a move on somebody and then you pick them back up and they're dazed and they're standing in front of you, instead of trying to grab him again, which will make him reverse because he'll be expecting you to grab him, just punch him, and then he's not expecting that, and then you grab him. And it's the same as if you throw him into the turnbuckle and you're putting him on top of the top turnbuckle. Punch him first, then grab him, and then punch him again, and then grab him, instead of trying to grab and grab, because they'll be expecting that. So there's little tips to where you can know how the game works, and you can beat it at its own game, because you know the computer won't react if you do certain things. So I mean, but that's just because you're a human and it's a game. You know, they can't outsmart your brain, can think of ways to defeat the game a lot quicker than they can actually make it. But I don't know, I just think that at the end of the day, this game, I can see, I mean, I know this is in 2015, I mean, I picked it up off eBay, it was only 13 quid, so I don't feel like I've been bumped. But I mean, when it first came out, it was 50 odd quid. I mean, I would have been so disappointed if I had spent all that money, got home and played it. I would have just thought, this is fucking shit. There, look at the little mini game you play here, and it just spoils it, really. It spoils the fluidity of the game. Like I said, it takes you out of it. But I suppose you'll get used to it, and it doesn't happen that often, so it pisses you off. It only happens every once in a while, and it makes it look real. Like I say, like when I say real, I know the wrestling's not real, but I'm saying it makes it look more like you're watching the telly. Because have you noticed how slow they run, and see how I missed that grab there? Just stuff like that. It's annoying, because on the other PlayStation game, you would connect with stuff like that, and they kept the speed of the match going. But like I say, if you get slow, and if you don't do what you're meant to do, you'll end up just getting your ass kicked. So it makes you play in a certain way. I don't think it doesn't let you decide. And like I said before, the customization is shit. They've took basically a great customization. They've, they've basically took a great customization system, and they've just scrapped it and started again. A lot of the same options are there, so you can do a lot of the same things. Familiar tattoos and familiar tops and trunks and stuff like that you'll recognise off all the other games, but they've drastically cut the amount of stuff available to pick, so it's ruined it, I think. And customization was one of the wrestling's big points, that you could create absolutely anybody, or nearly anybody you can think of, but like the options are very limited. There's about a third of what there is on all the other wrestling games on all fields of customization, so it does really ruin it. There's only about 12 haircuts, you know what I mean, so you haven't got very many to pick from. And it just spoils it for me. Like, I had to make an actual wrestler. Then I was going to create myself, and I was going to create Hulk Hogan, but because I couldn't be bothered to pay for him or like wait to unlock him, so I was just going to start a career with Hogan. But like I say, you can't get his hair. He hasn't got his proper tash. I mean, it's got his Hollywood Hogan tash with the black stubble and the blonde tash, but that's not the 80s Hogan, is it? So, whereas on the other game there was hundreds of things to pick from, so I think they've ruined it in that respect. So to sum up, they've changed the way the fighting is, which is a massive mistake because it was perfect. They've changed the way you can customize people, which is a massive mistake because it was perfect. And they've changed the speed of the fighting as well. It's very slow. It feels slow. I mean, in the footage now, if you're watching, it looks like I'm fighting like just normal speed, but it's because I think I'm just used to the buttons and I've got used to the reaction time, so I know when to press my button to keep it fluent. Whereas a lot of the time, you're standing about and your buttons aren't reacting. You're pressing your button and it doesn't do anything, and they've just fucked it. I think they've slowed it down to make it look more realistic, because the connections of the punching and stuff are great and the graphics are great, but apart from that, it's shit. So if you like wrestling, still go out and buy it, play it for yourself, don't take my word for it, definitely play it, and then let's just hope they do WWE 2016 a million times better. So I don't know, give it 3 out of 10. So.
You are a smelly pirate hooker. You are a smelly pirate hooker.